Oh, I got it. Somebody else send me a message. I got Ashley's message. Somebody else send me a text. Send me a comment, please. I'm excited. Send me a comment, somebody. Yes. Okay, we are good to go. Let me get some lights so y'all can see me. Man, what a way to start it off. Well, anyway, thanks everybody for joining in. Let me respond to a couple of quick messages here. Live now. Now. And people, if you're watching, send me a quick message so I know that you guys are seeing this. I'm getting messages here. So yes, live now. So what do we got? We got about 10 people, 15 people in there. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for joining in. Sorry for the late start. We're like 15 minutes late start because of my technical difficulties. But I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. I'm getting a few people who are sending me messages asking am I live, and I just want to try to comment to them. Oh, you know what? I can do it right here. I'm gonna try to comment to them real quick. I'm just gonna give a few more people an opportunity to jump on. And I really do not want to hold you guys long, so I'm not gonna wait too much longer. Comments here. Okay. All right. I'm gonna switch back. Good deal. Yep, it works. Hey, B-Tor, thanks for joining in. All right, guys. I can't see how many people are joining in, but I keep getting texts that people are trying to join in. Text messages that people are trying to join in. So I'm trying to hold off just a couple of minutes, and I know you guys have already been patient and waiting. Trying to hold off for just a couple of more minutes. Anyway, while you are watching, can you please subscribe to the page? In the future, hopefully we won't have any more technical difficulties, but please subscribe to the page. Your subscription or you subscribing to the page helps us out in a multitude of ways, because when this league does start, we will be live streaming some of the games, the combine, and all the things that we're doing using Facebook. And we have to meet a certain amount of subscribers to do such. So please subscribe to the page. And I need to get the subscriptions up. Gotta get them up. So you'll definitely see a lot of stuff of us promoting. Please subscribe to the page. And yes, I am stalling because I have a couple more people who said they're trying to get in, and I'm waiting for them to text me on the screen to say that they're in. But thanks for joining. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and just get started. I'm going to start talking off the cup, and you guys can throw some questions in the chat area to talk about what we're trying to do here with the Women's Flag Football Network National League. So this is really cool. Nobody else is doing it, of course. I'm really excited about it because it's something unique. We're going to have an opportunity well, if you guys have been to my WITC tournament in Vegas, you know that I created that tournament to try to get the West Coast teams to play the East Coast teams and Northwest and to all get together and play because we usually don't play each other. Even at a national event like what happens in Orlando every year, still we weren't getting a lot of participation from the West Coast. And then the West Coast was having their tournament in Vegas in January around the same time, and they weren't getting any participation with the East Coast. So I started the WITC tournament just for that reason, to bring the East Coast to the West Coast and to unite Women's Flag, which is the main purpose of the Women's Flag Football Network, is networking women in flag football together. So, we've grown, we've done a lot of things. We've got a lot more things we want to do, but I'm kind of proud of the roadblocks as we've knocked down and the any kind of analogy you want to use. I'm just proud of what we've done. But I definitely came up with the idea of doing a national league. Actually, I thought of the idea years ago, just didn't know how to make it work. But as time has gone by, and I've been a part of Flag for so long, and getting to see opportunities and meeting people and seeing so many teams around the country that will travel, if you make it worthwhile, and all those options, that I said, you know what, let's do a national league. And so if you guys haven't already understand how the National League is going to work, I'm going to break that down real quick, and then I'll just start getting the details. So it's set up to happen over a 4-month period of time. And right now the number is set at 13 teams. 13 teams will play 12 games to make a complete season. Well, how's that going to work in a 4-month period of time? What we're going to do is we're going to have the National Combine in Vegas in April, which is right around the same time that I usually hold my WITC. The National Combine is going to be full of a lot of things, but all the players who are going to participate in our league will need to be at the Combine. I won't get into what the Combine is going to have. It's going to have a whole lot of stuff for that whole weekend, but all players need to be there. You get explanation about the league, free agents to be there, trying to make teams, coaches to be there, trying to pick up free agents. We'll do scrimmages. We'll do a whole lot of stuff for that whole weekend, but it'll be a weekend jam-packed with women in flag football. After the Combine, in May, the first half of the season will happen in May, and I believe it's the second weekend in May, and we will have the first half of the season in Atlanta, Georgia. The first half of the season will be played on Saturday and Sunday. Every team will play 3 games on Saturday, and then they'll play 3 games on Sunday. And now we're finished with the first half of the season, because now you just played 6 games, and you know we have a 12-game season. Now the second half of the season will be played in tentatively Los Angeles. I got an alternate site that's still on the West Coast that might be a little bit better, easier travel, a whole lot of things that'll make it a better option for us, but I'm working on that. Right now I'm stating Los Angeles. Well ahead of time, we will be talking about the option of another location if it won't be Los Angeles. But again, on Saturday, 3 games per team, and on Sunday, 3 games per team. And so that will end the season with the 12-game season. I'm going to pause right there because I'm getting messages saying that the link that was sent out is not working. And so if you guys are on here, how are you guys on here if the link is not working? So what I'm going to ask is that, first of all, can you guys share the link on social media? I'm going to take a pause and share the link on the social media. Okay, so everybody found it via the channel. Okay, yeah, so I guess we just have to have people look for Women's Flag Football Network on YouTube. That sucks. Okay, I will do that. Kim is telling me to delete the other videos that are standing by, so I'm going to do that real quick, and then I'm going to get back to talking about the league here. So let me do that. And but if I delete it, Kim, it's telling me who's viewing. It's telling me it's live. I don't want to delete that. It's telling me it's live. So she said delete the other ones. Okay, let's delete the other ones. All right, cool. I see what you're saying, Kim. You know I'm slow, guys. Kim is my my right hand person when it comes to the social media stuff. So she's my support. Okay, all right. People are waiting in it, Norman. What do you mean waiting in it? Or they're waiting at the old links? Is that what you mean? So I just deleted the old links. So hopefully people will look it up for through the Women's Flag Football Network on YouTube. Okay, there's like 4 on the account. So all the ones that I was practicing for are saved for some reason. I'm telling you, I was trying to figure this thing out. Okay, all right. So let's get back to it. So like I said, we're going to have two half of the seasons, May and June, and then we will have the championships played in Puerto Rico. The championships will consist of a significant portion of the team league, but not all teams are going to make the playoffs. I haven't gotten to exactly where I want, but I believe we're going to have 8 teams make the playoffs, and the top 8 teams will compete in a double elimination format to win the championship. So, and we're working all those things out, but it's going to be really cool the way we set it up. I've got some logistic things that I'm working on, but it's going to be kind of unique. I know double elimination is not unique, but the way that we get to that double elimination stage is very unique. actually the whole league is unique because it hasn't been done before. But we're gonna. That's how it's gonna go. We're gonna have the combine in April, season 1 in May, season 2 in June. First half of the season in May, second half of the season in June. Championships in July in Puerto Rico. So that's the basics of how the league will run. All right, so let's talk about the markets and where the teams are going to be at. So I sent a lot of suggestions out, and I listed as potential markets, and I had about 13. I think I had about 13 potential markets on the first thing that I sent out. And there were a lot of people asking, well, we've got flag in this location, we've got flag in that location, how do we be a part of this? The markets that I sent out were a suggestive market. It's a suggestion. That's the areas that I feel, and I'm almost sure that we're going to get a lot of participation in for the league. But there might be some areas that I'm just not aware of that will compete. But the one thing that I can say is it will be 13 teams. And I will be selecting 13 teams from the strongest markets, meaning that I don't want to have a team from, Smallville, USA, that, they're just a group of women that play every other weekend and they're a rec team. This league is not going to be for them. This league is going to be extremely competitive. I don't want any teams going 0-12 or 1-11 or even 2-10. I want teams to beat up on each other. We have to fight for first place. We want every game you play to be a worthwhile game. So we're going to. It's a good question. Actually, I'm gonna come back to that one. I'll leave it right there in the chat. So we're going to select strong markets with strong coaching and strong GMs to make sure that we're putting on a good product for not just for the players, but for the national recognition that I want to make sure we get. We don't want any fluff teams. We don't want any fluff games. We want every game to be worthwhile and worth playing. So yes, I think I've received about 22 different markets, areas that coaches are interested in and feel that they can get teams. But we're going to talk about that and minimize those markets to areas that we feel are strong, and not just to have a team because we've got girls that can play. We want to make sure that we have strong players on every team. So are the coaches drafting girls from the combine for their teams? So yes and no. No, they're not, because by the time we get to the combine, most coaches will already have their teams. But the combine will allow free agents to be available for teams to pick up. So by the time we get to the combines, I expect everybody to have 85 to 90% of their team, but there will be some options for them to pick up other players at the combine. So great question, Ashley, and that's how we're going to work that for the combine as far as scouting is concerned. A lot of other little things that we're going to have in place is that basically players are going to have to play in the market that's closest to them. So in other words, Vegas, if Vegas has a team and you live in San Francisco, Ashley, but there's a team in Los Angeles, you have to play for that team in Los Angeles and not Vegas, because Los Angeles is closest to you. Now, with that said, that's going to be the guideline. But with that said, is every team will have a certain amount of waivers. And waivers will allow those teams to pick up players from outside of their market. But you will only get a certain amount of waivers to do that. So teams and GMs, coaches and GMs are going to realize how important it is to use your waivers wisely. Because if you use up all your waivers, I'll say for example, I use up 3 of my waivers, and then by the time I get to the combine, I see this girl who's awesome, and she doesn't live in our area. We'll just say we see Ashley. Ashley's awesome, and she doesn't have a team, and she's looking for a team to play. Well, if I've used all my waivers already, I can't pick up Ashley. I can't pick her up. My waivers are gone. So somebody else will pick her up. So we're going to talk to coaches about how to use their waivers wisely, but we do want the players to come from the market in which is closest to them. So if you live in the LA area, we want you to be on LA's team. You live in San Diego, DC, Atlanta, wherever you live at, we want those players to come from those markets, and then we'll have a certain amount of waivers. No, there won't be any kind of trades going on. Seeing that this is the first season, We're going to keep it as simplistic and as guideline centric as possible. Nothing to make it confusing. So let's get through the first season before we start getting fancy with trades and draft parties and things like that. We're going to keep it as simple as possible to make the league run as smoothly as possible. Don't want to make it too complex. So I'm going to go to my notes real quick and then keep tapping back and looking for anything that you guys may have to ask and try to answer your questions at that time. So cost. So what is the cost to play in this league? Because everything has cost, all right? So what we're going to be looking at is individual players paying about $50 to $60 per player to play, and that will include your home and away jersey. The league will be providing the jerseys. So there will be a branded set jersey for all teams. One of the things that's going to be emphasized in the league is uniformity. Just like the NFL, the NBA, or any other major league sport, everybody is in uniform, and they get fined if they're not in uniform. So uniforms are enforced. We're going to enforce uniforms. We're going to make sure that everybody is playing in the uniforms. So much so that we're going to also offer players an opportunity to purchase extra jerseys at a very low cost, just in case. Because if your jersey gets ripped up to a point where you can't play in it, you won't be able to play unless you have a backup jersey. So we're going to be very strict with that. Now, how uniformity will work is the league will be responsible from the neck to the waist. So we will be providing you with your jersey from the neck to the waist, and you wear what we say from the neck to the waist. The teams will be responsible from the waist to their ankles and any headgear. Now, when I say responsible, it means that every player on the team will wear the exact same type of shorts or the exact same type of tights. So you'll be able to wear either or, shorts or tights on the same team. But Nike tights model ABCD, everybody on the team is wearing Nike tights model ABCD. And if they're wearing Nike shorts model 1, 2, 3, 4, everybody on the team is wearing Nike shorts model 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a very good question, Eva. Very good question. I'm going to get to that because that's the part that I'm excited about. So everybody will be in uniforms. And then, like I said, the teams are responsible from the waist to the ankles. Players can wear whatever shoes they want to wear, whatever cleats they want to wear. We're not mandating that or anything because, that stuff costs a lot of money. But we are going to be in uniform. So every player on every team will be dressed alike. Now, everybody doesn't have to wear a headband, but if players decide to wear some sort of headband, all players will wear that exact same headband that chooses to wear a headband. So if two players on a team want to wear a Nike headband with a swoosh in the front, those two players have to have the exact same Nike headband. So everybody will be in uniform. I'm sure you kind of get my drift of what I'm going here, but everybody will be in uniform with that. Coaches and staff on the sideline will be in uniform. Coaches will have their coaching shirt. Staff members will have their staff shirt. And if you're not in a staff or coaching shirt, you won't be on the sidelines. It's simple as that. So everybody will be in uniform. When the camera flashes over to the sidelines, everyone will look like teams. Yes, we will be providing flags for the players. So we will be in uniform with the flags. So what we will do is, no, we're not going to do that. That's a great question, Ashley. That's a great question because I want to provide the belts and the flags. And when we do that, we'll probably give them away at the combine so everyone shows up. If not, the very first game of the season, when we do we'll have a check-in process, and that's when everybody will pick up whatever equipment that they have. But yes, we will be providing the flags so that the flags will all be the exact same type of flags. Great question, Ashley. And I actually have to make a note about that because I didn't think about that. So good question. What style of flag football are we going to be playing? It's going to be a modified version of 7-on-7. It's going to be what we're going to call the Women's Flag Football Network 7-on-7 rules. It'll be extremely similar to what's presently being played as the AFFL style of flag football. The good thing about this is, other than the teams and players that played in Arlington last month, it's relatively new to the entire women's community. So not too many teams are going to have a leg up over other teams about how to master this style of play. So it's going to be relatively new to the women's community because, like I said, last month was the first time that we've really experienced it with the women. So it's kind of cool, but the 7-on-7 format is a very exciting format. It's very, very different, but it adds a lot of caveats to the game that keeps it very exciting. So those are the type of rules that we're going to have. I'm gonna jump back to the and get to your question, Eva, about the backers. So teams will be allowed. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm jumping around because I did talk about players will be paying $50 to $60 to be a part of the league. Teams will be paying what's called a forfeiture deposit of $600. And that's how they get into the league. Now, what is a forfeiture deposit? A forfeiture deposit is you're paying $600 to play in the league, and at the end of the season, if you didn't forfeit any games, you get that $600 back. The way that we want to operate this league is we want as little money as possible from the players and the teams. We want players and teams to worry about getting to the games and playing. So we don't want a lot of money, but we need teams to have some skin in the game to make sure that they show up. Because if you have any type of event, when teams don't show up, it kills the event, and that's the last thing we want to do, especially in our first year. We don't want to kill the event because teams didn't show up. So we want teams to be in the game. $600 isn't a lot of money, but usually it's enough to keep people motivated to play, especially if they know they're going to get that money back. So, the GMs for each team will be responsible for handling that, but that'll all be worked out, as well as the names of the teams and all that. That will all be worked out, and I'll give you the dates to that. I'm going to jump back to Eva's question. Am I organizing alone, or are there other backers? There will be other backers. So no contracts are signed just yet, so I can't go into who those other backers are. But they're seriously... they're very serious about being involved in what we're putting together here. They've literally given me the green light to go ahead and start it and say, Norman, we got you. We're just waiting for the some contracts to be signed and some agreements to be made and the fine tooth. But I would not be going back. I would not be going forward with this if I thought that I got to go into my own pocket to make it happen, because it is going to be costly to make it happen, and because I'm not trying to get the money from the players, the money's got to come from somewhere. So I've got the backing of some backers to make sure that we make this happen. Manny, that'll all be in the rules. But the field is NFL size, so to speak, with 52 1/3 wide and 100 yards with 10-yard end zones. So yes, it is regulation football field size. To answer that question. Manzi, my bad. I had another question on here. Blah 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 blah. Read that. Okay, I think I answered the questions that are on there. I'm going to go to a couple of more of my notes that I can talk to you guys about until I see questions that I haven't already covered. So rosters. So we're going to have every team is going to have a set roster size. And then and for each event, they're going to have a active and inactive roster for each event. Now, let me explain to you what an event is, so I can explain to you how the rosters and the inactivity works. An event is one day. So, for example, Atlanta will be Saturday and Sunday. 3 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday. Well, the 3 games on Saturday is considered one event, and the 3 games on Sunday is considered one event. So each team will be allowed, whatever the number that we come up with, will be between 15 and 17 players to be active, but yet they'll be allowed to carry a roster of 22 to 25 players, which we will have all that solidified well in advance. But what that means is, for example, on Saturday, one of your top players couldn't make it, so you got somebody else active, and then on Sunday your top player is able to get there, so you can make your top player active, and the player who wasn't the top player, or however you want to word it, will be inactive. But you'll only be allowed a set amount of active players per event, which is a Saturday or a Sunday. There's definitely a lot of strategy involved in why we're doing that. And as coaches and GMs get involved, they'll understand the reason why we're setting the roster for game day at a certain amount of players. Coaches requirements. Good question, or nobody asked that yet, but that's something I definitely want to address. So the coaches will be given the rule book. Well in advance, coaches will have the rule book. And I'm going to let you guys know that September is really like a go date for this entire league, and I'll tell you why that is. But coaches will not only be given a rule book, but they'll be required to be certified as a coach, meaning that they'll be required to take an online examination and must pass it to be a coach. We're not going to have coaches on the sidelines that don't understand the rules of the game. The entire coaching staff must be certified. So anyone who's going to be on the sidelines as a coach, they must be certified, or they won't be allowed to be on the sidelines. If you're a part of tournaments, done tournaments, you can understand why that is. Arguing, there's going to already be enough judgment calls by the referees. Not understanding the rules is just not something that we're going to have. Good question. Actually, we will not provide a limit to coaches on a team. We will not provide a limit of coaches on the team because one team have one coach that runs everything. We're going to let the GM and the teams themselves work it out. Let me talk a little bit more about coaches. Guys, if you want to pop some questions in there as well, feel free. I'll make sure I get to them. But talking a little bit more about coaches. So as a league, we're trying to be very marketable. We're trying to get sponsors, national sponsors, not just, the local pub around the corner. We're trying to get national sponsors to be a part of this organization. So therefore, we have to be marketable. We can't have people, good question, Manzi, I'll answer that as well. We have to have people who are, if the camera flies by them, they're not dropping F-bombs and all that kind of stuff on the field, regardless of what's happening during the game. I can tell you now, guys, we have a reputation for that. Or let's just say if you're anything like I was when I was a coach, you won't be able to be a coach in this league. I wouldn't be able to be a coach in this league because I have mental issues when it comes to getting a little bit passionate on the sideline. So those are not the kind of coaches we want in the league. We want guys who can handle conflict, adversity, and still keep a cool head and not be an embarrassment to their team, to their players, and especially to the league. We want to be able to go into season 2 picking up more sponsors because they watched how the league was conducted, how the players acted, how the coaches acted, how everything about this league looked marketable to a wholesome family of 4 in the suburbs, right? We want to make sure that we're not doing anything that would walk people away from the league. So as a league owner, I have to make sure that just doesn't happen. And a lot of that responsibility will be on the GMs, but I'm going to hope that the GMs beat me to the punch. I don't want to micromanage any team. As a matter of fact, I want to stay away from the teams as much as possible. We're going to make the GM the liaison between myself as the league organizer and the teams. And the GM's job is to battle for their teams, is to make sure that their teams are getting a fair shot and all that. But the GM's responsibility also is to understand the big picture and not just their team's goals and individual goals. It's got to be about the league. So so how do you become a GM? So by the end of this week, we're going to you'll see the applications for GMs up there. I've actually already done the requirements for what the perfect candidate is for the GM. But the GM, like I said, will be the liaison between the team and the league. The GM's responsibility is not to be a flag football expert. The GM's responsibility is to be a general manager. They need to have managerial experience. They need to have leadership experience. They need to know how to talk to people. They need to have a little bit of understanding of being a treasurer and understanding how to handle money, because they'll have to collect the money from the players. I'm not going to be collecting individual payments from players except for the registration. So when you guys put together anything that you're having for team dues or whatever, they're going to have to be responsible for doing that. And they're going to have to be able to do it in a way that their team is not saying, hey, what happened to our money? So I'm going to be looking for professional style individuals who are great leaders and great managers to be general managers of their team. So we'll have more of a vetting process for the GMs than we will for the coaching. GMs don't have to take the examination for the rules because GMs will possibly not even, GMs actually won't even be allowed on the field during game time. And no, we will not do a GM coach combination on the first season of this league, just because of the responsibilities of the two. They can actually conflict. So good question, Manzi. But no, the GM will be a totally separate person from a player or a coach. And so also, hold on 1 second. I'm getting a message. Ooh. I need to respond to this message because I need this person to be on the line. Real quick, give me a second here. Thanks for your patience. Sorry, guys. I'm just sending out the YouTube information. Okay, so that kind of breaks down the GM situation, but we'll be dropping. Yeah, Jerry Jones, right, man? See, that's what we don't want. We don't want the general managers on the sidelines disrupting the coaches as they're doing their job. Okay, cool. So we got a couple more people that's joining in. So what else did I want to go over? Okay, I'm going to go back to my notes unless somebody drops in a quick question. And make sure I'm still hitting everything that I wanted to hit. Okay, also, yeah, so I think I did post it on Facebook, but just in case you didn't notice it, we do have interest from Canada and Mexico, which I think is real cool, that they want to put a team together to be a part of the league. That's great for the first year. I didn't think that would happen the first year, but the response that we've gotten so far has been great. So it definitely puts on the accountability on me to make sure I'm offering a great product. So having our neighboring countries put a team in, it will really help elevate the league to to a certain standard. I'm going over my notes real quick, guys, just to make sure I cover some stuff. Please throw any questions in there that you may have. Come on, Norman. Where's it at? All right, cool. Here we go. Going over that. Yeah, so team nicknames. So who's going to come up with the team nicknames? Again, September is going to be the kind of like the drop dead go date, and that's when I'll have GMs in place and hopefully coaching staffs not locked in, but a general idea of who the coaching staffs will be, and then we'll start doing nicknames, because of what I want the GMs to do is not only come up with the nicknames but possibly poll their local markets for to vote on the best nickname for the team, because after the first season all the players can be gone, but the nickname for the team is going to stay. We're going to lock those nicknames in. Yes, Crystal Scott, aka Twin. Will there be an Atlanta area team? I sure hope so. We have Atlanta listed as a market to have, and you would probably be a great coach. We love to have female coaches. Yeah, so the areas, the GMs and teams and myself are going to come up with the nicknames. Well, I'm not going to come up with the nicknames, but I will help approve the nicknames. In other words, we can't have any controversial nicknames for a team. We want to have legitimate, cool, catchy nicknames for their team. So we'll get that approved. But all that stuff will really start happening in September. Let me read this real quick. Ashley said, will we know before the combine if we're on the team? If not, how long after the combine? Yeah, so actually, I expect the majority, 85 to 90% of teams to be already solidified at the combine. And other than all the things that we're going to be doing as far as teaching the rules, teaching things to the players, coaches, officials, and all that kind of stuff, other than that, there will only be free agents out there that teams will be looking to pick up. So I expect 85 to 90% of teams to be already locked in or in together at the combine, but I will not. The rosters for the teams will not be locked in until 2 weeks after the combine, which is also about 2 weeks prior to the first season. And that's for that reason, because when you go to the combine, you might want to add some players to your roster that you didn't already have. So we're not even going to lock the rosters in, but your coaching staff and your GMs will already have an idea of who's going to be on the teams at that time, and they should let their and the players will know that they're on the team as well, because you probably will have been holding practices or workouts. I expect each market to have some sort of tryouts to make sure that they're getting as many opportunities out there to pick up as many of the better players on the team. So yes, you should know well before the combine that you're on the squad. How do you sign up? So that will be released shortly after September as well, Ashley. Of course, the sign up process itself will go through my page, but you won't do your full registration until those rosters are going to be locked in, which will be shortly after the combine. Ramal, how you doing? Eggs, it's Crystal. Oh, okay, it's Crystal. People have seen your highlight. So be asking questions about the league, Crystal. Okay, anyway, any Northwest teams or interests that you have heard of? Northwest. Are you talking about Oregon area? Are you talking about Idaho? Which area are you talking about, Jessa? Are you talking about your area? Or are you talking about like Oregon going up in that area? Give me a quick hit on which area you're talking about. Eggs is a beast. Okay, cool. Any questions? Any questions that I haven't already covered about the league? So what I'm asking for you guys, and what we'll continue to ask, is, first of all, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe. The YouTube channel is going to be extremely important. We got to make sure we get up to 1,000 subscribers. So please pass the word to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Kim and myself will be doing things to help add more content on there to make sure it's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on there, but maybe it's not pertaining to you as an individual. So we're trying to get more things on there to all women in general on the YouTube channel, but we really need it because we'll be doing live streaming of all the games that are played within the league, and because it'll be done remotely, we will need to make sure we have 1,000 we have 1,000 views. Actually, I'm working on the dates for when the coaches will be tested and how they'll be able to test it, because it's going to be kind of monitored online testing to make sure it's done fairly and all those kind of things. Jesse, you talking about Washington, Oregon, Idaho area? So I have had some inquiries from Seattle. I have talked to Chuck a little bit about Idaho, but I have not had anything from Oregon. I have a call set up from somebody from Oregon. Actually, we're supposed to talk today, but maybe we'll talk tomorrow to see. But interest in Seattle and some interest in Boise. So we'll continue to make sure that information gets out. Like I said, we're in July right now. We're really almost in August. So I've got the whole month of August and the month of September to make sure I get the GMs in place and the coaching pool in place. So why do I say get the GMs locked in, but the coaches are not locked in? Well, here's why the coaches are not locked in. Because if I've got 4 coaches from, we'll just say, LA, who want to all be a head coach, well, we're only going to have one LA team. And so we will see if those coaches will be able to work together to have a legitimate team. Everybody's personalities don't work together. And so it's going to be between, the league and the GM to try to pick the right group of coaches from the group in that area. Now there might be a coach that's, look, I'm a head coach and that's all I can do. And if we don't pick that coach to be a head coach, then we lose that coach because that's all he could do or she could do. And the last thing we want is coaching staffs on teams headbutting. No, we want teams working together. So it's going to be a real sensitive process of getting the coaches in place, but I've got to get the GMs locked in first and the markets established, and then we'll work on that. So I'm hoping the coaches who have applied for this and are really interested in elevating the sport, I'm hoping that they all approach this with an open mind and all about the sport, and not necessarily their recognition in being the head coach. And there could be teams can actually just have a coaching staff and nobody be the head coach. It's not required. We just need a coaching staff. So however teams decide to word it, label it, or whatever will be up to them and their GMs. But we need to make sure we have each team has a cohesive group of individuals running their teams. We don't need coaches that players won't play for. I can tell you this: players, in my opinion, in this league, players are more important than the coaches. So if I got a player who has I think has a good attitude, but she's just tired, she just doesn't like this coach because he cusses, screams, and does all this ridiculous stuff, like, downgrades people or whatever. Yeah, that coach is not going to be a part of this league because that's not what we're looking for. We're looking to promote the players. We're looking to promote the league. We're looking for positive experiences for all. We want you to, even if you lose, say, okay, look, I got a fair shot. We did the best that we could. We just got beat, as much as possible. Nothing ever goes right in the game that you love. So, but besides all that stuff, we want to make sure everything is put together as fair as possible and players are elevated. There's so many opportunities internationally for our women, and this league will give a lot of focus and opportunity for any one organization to come down and look at our league playing one weekend and see all the potential stars that we have in women's flag football. And when I say one organization, I'm talking international. Most of you know what I'm talking about. All right. And I want to make sure that every woman gets a fair shot to be seen, to be able to participate in other levels of flag football outside of my team and outside of the traveling teams that we're putting together here for the league. So we want to create that environment. We want to create the environment that every woman gets a chance to be seen and gets a fair shot to showcase their talents in an environment that's going to be looked at on a national level. So that's also one of the big things that I want. A lot of you know that's why I started my USA team, to get more players more noticed around the country for options or for opportunities. And yes, Jessa, this is totally different from the WFFN USA team. My team will not be a part of this because the players who play on my team will be playing for their teams in their markets. So yes, this is totally separate from that. This is it's totally separate. It's a great opportunity for the women, I believe, and it's definitely a great opportunity for the coaches. So, for example, there's some coaches out there that are really coaches, but they're not getting any national recognition either. Nobody's getting a chance to see them on a national level to know that they're good coaches. Here's another opportunity for us. Guys, this league is being put together to elevate us and give everybody the opportunity to showcase their talents. And that's really what I'm excited about for this league. It's going to take all of us, players, coaches, GMs, and everybody, to make it successful and putting forth an effort to making it happen. So I can't think of any other questions that I haven't answered or don't have the answers to yet. Mostly the things that I don't have answers to yet is the backers, or can't discuss as the backers and things like that. But I relatively have how the league is going to be ran already solidified. Any questions anybody can think of? Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't have to be a super scientific question. Just something that's on your mind. I'm about to hit the hour mark, even though I started 15 minutes late. But I do want to make sure I addressed any possible questions that anyone has. Jump them up there. Jump them on there. You know what, Brittany, Vitor, we had a conversation yesterday, and you brought up some good questions, and I should have wrote them down to make sure I address. So if you can think of any of those questions that you talked to me about, it would be nice if you threw them up on the screen. Thanks, Jack is balling. I hope we get a team out there in your area, and congratulations on your life changes and everything. It's Nene or Nene. I appreciate it. Look, I mean, people who really know me know that I am a fanatic of women's flag football, and all I do is think about how to elevate women's flag football. And this was a great idea I think that I had, and I'm biased because it was my idea, but this was a great idea that I think I had to help elevate the game. Jessa, that's actually a very good question. Do GMs have to be at every game? The answer is no, they do not. But I would think that GMs will want to be at every event. But because they're operating on a managerial level, no, they do not have to be at every game, and that is not a Vanessa, right? Like that's all you can do, Vanessa. Really? But just no, they do not have to be at every game. And to be honest with you, a good GM that runs their team probably doesn't have to be at any games. And that would be pretty cool if you could be a GM and run everything and have everything in order, and your team runs smoothly during each event. So good question, and that probably will play a role for some people, whether they have to be there or not. But I would just say, if you're not going to be at every event, your managerial and leadership skills got to be very strong, because we know things happen on day of, and a GM will be responsible for it. Teams won't be approaching, team coaches won't be coming to the league organizer about issues. The GM needs to come to the league organizer about issues. So you can see why it'd be very important for GMs to be there if at all possible. Good questions, guys. Look, I really appreciate you guys being on here. So, will you dictate anything about how franchise teams are formed? Local combines. Great question, Kim. There's only a couple of things that I will be dictating about how teams do their selecting of the players in their combines. For the combines, I'm going to require every team to do some sort of videoing of their practices and tryouts, and that's just for a marketing perspective. That's why we're going to do that. But I'm going to let the GMs and the teams kind of handle how they are forming their teams, because a team, a player has to be in line with the goals of the GM and the coaching staff. I mean, if you got a diva who doesn't want to listen to the coaching, no matter how good she is, that diva's not going to be a good fit for that team. So the coaching staff is going to have to work on putting together players that fit their scheme and their idea of how the team needs to be ran. I will keep an eye on making sure none of the market teams consist of one already existing club team. So what I mean is, if say we've got the Atlanta Rage, let's just say that's a team, and the coach from the Atlanta Rage wants to be a coach in our league, and he basically just brings his whole Atlanta Rage team and says, hey, this is the Atlanta team. That's not what we're going to have. We're going to have legitimate tryouts and opportunities for players to play, and it's not going to be a club team that's already formed to jump in and just put their team in. So good question, Kim, and I hope I explained that a little bit. It's Nene, I think a couple of them players can be GMs, commentators during the game. Good question. No, we won't let players be a GM. We will not let players be a GM will be an isolated position. So we won't have players or coaches being a GM. Commentators during the game. There we go. That's one of the things that Brittany brought up. I'm going to answer that. Are teams responsible for their own sponsors? Yes. So teams will be allowed to get their own sponsors. Remember, I said that the teams are responsible for their waist down to their ankles. That's where any sponsorship can go. So if you get a logo, say if you got your local Home Depot that's going to sponsor a team, their Home Depot logo can go on your shorts and or tights or socks that you wear for your team. So you will be responsible for the teams will be responsible for their lower half, and that's where you can put the logos for your sponsors. So yes, you will be responsible for your own sponsorship. Abdullah from Show Your Right Zone should commentate games. So yeah, we're going to be wide open for opportunities for individuals to commentate. And if Show Your Right wants to join in and partner with us to do commentating, that would be great. There's no doors that are closed in this league right now. We're opening up all doors to look at all avenues and opportunities to make it be an exceptional league. Show Your Right would have to travel to every event. Or provide someone to travel to every event to do so. We're also going to be looking for media people, those people who can, record the games for us or broadcast them live for us. standing on an elevated platform with your camera, or sitting down but on an elevated platform with the camera, and follow the game. And I do that for high school sports here in Atlanta, and it seems easy, but it's not as easy to do as you may think, because the mind drifts and you be like, oops, I forgot that play. Or you start watching the play and forget to move the camera. So yeah, we will be looking for individuals who have skills in doing that as well, because videos, content is going to be huge for what we do for this league to continue to promote it going further in the future. Oh, okay, it's Nene. I didn't know that was you, Vitor. Didn't recognize the name. So, yes, sponsors was one of the things that you and I talked about as well. Ashley, if you know Show You Right, reach out to them. Have them reach out to me. And guys, I say this about anything in this league. If you know people, leaders who could be great GMs, who are dedicated to the game, who want to be a part of this, definitely spill the word to players. So when it's time to go, players know where to look. But if you know people who would want to be a part of this and would be a positive impact, please send them to me, and I will talk to them. I'll work it out. Let's see. Will refs go through the same training as coaches? Yes. Refs will go through the same training as coaches, such as passing and tests for rules. Yes, they will. And I'll say this from the start, even though we already know this, referees are not full-time referees in our league. In other words, they go back to work just like you do. They're there for the weekend. They're weekend warriors like you are. So their life is not refereeing. We will do our best to have our referees trained as possible, as top notch as possible. The great thing about it is, I know a whole lot of officials, and so I know a lot of officials who won't be a part of this league, and I know a lot of officials that I would love to be a part of this league. So I will do a lot of thorough vetting for our officials in this league. Nobody's perfect, but we want to make sure the attitudes are right. We want to make sure the dedication to the rules and understanding the spirit of the rules are right, and everything that'll help make the games run well. I'm gonna put him on the spot because I know his wife's on here. I did a lot of my video behind Ramon Coleman in Arlington. And he did an excellent job of communicating the entire game. The communication is key, making sure teams and players know what's going on. And that's what I'm looking for in the type of officials that I want for here. I don't want the quarterback to have to ask how much time's on the play clock, how many times the teams get to rush, all that stuff. I don't want them. I want that to be given to them on a regular by the officials. I want the officials to be involved in that aspect of communicating at all times. So those are the type of things that we're going to be looking for. Will player sign-up interest be given to local coaches when sign-ups happen in or after September? Will player sign-up interest be given to local coaches? What's going to happen, Jessa, is because we're going to have, I'm expecting every local coach to have a tryout. Once they set their date for the tryouts, not only must those coaches advertise their date and location for those tryouts, they will have to give them to the league so we can also advertise their dates and locations for their tryouts. So we will be advertising for because it's not going to be a sign-up process at that time for players. So we will be advertising and putting out the dates and locations for tryouts for coaches, which is why it's very important for individuals to follow the Women's Flag Football Network, whether it be the Facebook page, whether it be the Instagram page, definitely the YouTube page. But we're going to be the disseminator of information that will pertain to the players. So make sure players, anybody who may be interested in following those three areas, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, and follow us on IG, and we will be putting out the content for each area whenever dates are given for tryouts. I hope that answers what your question. Crystal Scott, you said good question and I don't know who that was, so I'm hoping that I answered the question. If I did, Jessica. Okay, good. Yeah, okay, so it's answered. Very interested in being a part of the officiating crew. Was in Texas and in Florida. Lance Lou, if you are who I think you are, nope, you're not. But cool. Opportunities will be out there, Lance Lou. So we'll make sure you get a chance to know me. I would first say, Lance, ask anybody who has officiated for me what it's like to officiate for me, because you'll get one or two answers. You'll get the he's an asshole, or you get the I love him because he's a stickler to the rules and he's going to make me do my job. So you want to ask about me, because I'm an official as well, certified, been officiating for years, and I don't like officials that are not committed to their job. So, and I don't know you, Lance, so that's why I'm saying this, because I don't know if you're great or if you're bad. I don't know anything about you, so I'm saying it because, I don't have a relationship with you, so you don't think that I'm talking about you. But get to know that that's the type of person I am when it comes to officials. I want officials that are committed to their job and committed to customer service to the women who are playing. So you got a thumbs up from Ashley. That might mean a little bit, but we're definitely looking for committed officials, because everybody knows that officials can make or break a game, and they can make or break a league, they can make or break a tournament, and we're not going to have that. And I'm not saying officials have to be perfect. I'm not expecting anybody to be perfect. I'm not saying that at all. But officials need to be committed to it. So definitely, Lance, make sure you're following us, because information will be going out about how we pick up officials as well. So good conversation about the officiating and all that. Drop any more questions. I'm enjoying this, guys. I can stay on this all night. I just don't want to hold you guys all night. But if anybody, if you have any other questions you want to throw out there, please throw them out there. Once again, 13 markets, 12 game season, and probably the top 8, somewhere around that, will make it to the playoffs. The reason why we have the locations, East Coast and West Coast, not only just to be fair, but I'm hoping that the majority of the teams from the East Coast can drive to Atlanta instead of fly to save money, and the majority of the teams on the West Coast can drive to LA instead of fly to LA to save money. We're trying to save money for as much as possible. We'll encourage. I can tell you this: we will have a traveling company that is partnering with us. So then, and that information will be disseminated to you players as well. Let me tell you how that'll work and how you can really save money. You can really save money if you're using our travel partners and you're using them in this way, that your whole team travels together. So, I know everybody likes to do their own plans, but if you have to fly, I would advise the coaches and GMs to set up the date and everybody fly together, because you could possibly save $100 on a flight when they do it with our travel partners and they're flying as a group. So keep that in mind. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to force it, but I would just say GMs should strongly consider making the teams fly together. Now, everybody's personal life doesn't always allow that, and I understand those kind of things, but I would really think that it would work great for your teams, financial wise, if you were to travel together. And it looks pretty cool, especially if you got half of the plane that's full of your team. You guys have great flights. But we will have a traveling company that will be offering discounts to teams that are partnering with us. I'm just waiting to sign that contract as well. So I always say signing contracts, there is a level of commitment that I have to people who are partnering with us, and so you'll see that I'm pushing certain partners. But I can tell you that the only reason I'm partnering with anyone is because they can really provide something good to the league. As you know, with the Women's Flag Football Network, I don't partner with much of anybody, because if their agenda is not bringing positivity to what we're trying to do with the Women's Flag Football Network, I don't partner with them. I just pass on the money. As a matter of fact, I don't take money from hardly anybody with the Women's Flag Football Network, and I will only be doing that with the league if they're providing something that's very important and works for the teams. So we're going to be working on that. Thanks for following, Lance Lou. I hope when I sign on, I see at least 15 new followers on YouTube. We really need the YouTube following to jump up. We need you guys to spread the word to get the YouTube page up. I gotta get 1,000 viewers in the next 8 months. Period. So I'm going to do whatever I can, but your help will be greatly appreciated. Like I said, anyone that you think will be able to add value to the league, please send them my way. I don't mind getting flooded with emails of people who can add value to the league. Not coaching and not GMs, but any other kind of value, because we'll have a registration and a sign-up page for coaches, GMs, referees. We'll have that. I mean, some sort of media person, photographers, videographers, those kind of things, volunteers, those kind of things. Send them my way. Everybody else will have a sign-up process that they need to go through. So I was just reminded by a text that I got here from a friend of mine that even though I can stay here all day because it's going to be a YouTube replay available, I don't need to stay on here all day. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. If anybody doesn't have any more questions, I appreciate you guys being on here. I am open for email questions if you want to email me a question. My email address is womenplayflag2@gmail.com. Yes, you can go through social media as well and drop us a message. And I try to look at that as much as possible and respond. But you definitely will get a response from my email because I'm old and email is the big thing for me. Social media, I'm still trying to tackle. But if you hit me up on the email, womenplayflag2@gmail.com, you'll definitely get an answer relatively quick to whatever your question was. So anyway, thanks for joining in. Thanks for viewing. Subscribe. Tell your people to subscribe. And I'm looking forward to a very exciting opportunity that we're going to have for women's flag football going forward. All right, guys. Everybody have a good night. It might take me 10 minutes to figure out how to stop my live stream, but you guys can bug out and enjoy. Thanks a lot.